Our next guest knows Darren Wint well. He represented him in previous criminal cases. Attorney Robin Ficker joins us now. Mr. Ficker, thanks for being on New Day.
Thank you. I've represented him in 6 cases in the past. He was not found guilty in any of those 6 cases. I know him to be a kind, gentle, non-aggressive person, someone you wouldn't mind your grandmother going to lunch with. He's not the guy that did this. His DNA was found on pizza that was delivered outside the home, and then later that pizza crust was found in a dumpster. But the murders were committed inside the home. They've got the wrong guy. It's a group grope, a rush to judgment. There's a presumption of innocence, which is not being mentioned by the police.
Mr. Ficker, we hear how strongly you feel about this and about Darren Wint. Let's talk about his rap sheet. Let's go through it so you can explain what the cases were. In 2005, a family files a restraining order. I assume it's his family against him. In 2006, charged with second-degree assault. 2009, charged with second-degree assault and fourth-degree sex offense. Also in 2009, more second-degree assault. 2010, charged with fourth-degree burglary and property destruction. What can you tell us about those charges?
I'm not hearing you mention the word conviction. Charges are easily made and difficult to prove oftentimes. He was being harassed by the police in 2005 and 2006. Many people on the street know what harassment like that is. For instance, in a case where supposedly he had weapons, he pled guilty to possession of a container of alcohol. No prosecutor is going to diminish reputable charges in that way.
Sure, but how about the
assault?
Okay, but how about the assault? How about the sex offense? What are those stem from?
Was he convicted of a sex offense?
Well, you're
No.
right, he's not. But what were the charges stemming from? What was the incident?
In what year was that? You're talking
in 2006, when you represented him. What was the second-degree assault incident?
He was not convicted of a
yes,
second-degree assault.
What was the incident that brought the charge?
He was not convicted of a sex offense. Well, you're talking charges that were brought but not proven. There's a presumption of innocence that travels with him until the conclusion of the case, and that presumption of innocence was upheld.
Mr. Ficker, even his relatives, according to ABC News last night, his relatives describe him as he's very hostile, he's arrogant, he doesn't listen. You try to tell him and guide him the right way, but he thinks he knows the law. You are the only person that we have heard who considers him a gentle, kind person.
Every mother's child at some point becomes angry, becomes hostile towards their parents. We know that. I'm a parent 3 times over, and I've seen it in my kids who are wonderful successes. I think we're nitpicking here, trying to brand him in the public's eye. In the court of public opinion, the police should take their case to court. There's no evidence of DNA, his DNA, on any of the victims, is there? No.
We don't know. All we know that's been released so far, I mean, obviously we're not privy to what the investigators have inside the house, but that there was pizza, as you say, delivered to the home. That pizza was eaten, and his DNA was found on it. So how do you explain that connection?
I've had many cases where the DNA findings have been thrown out of court. We don't know who conducted this DNA and how it was done. It needs to be scrutinized. Why are the police letting out piecemeal little bits of evidence in a Chinese water torture method? They need to conduct themselves in court and not keep talking to the media trying to brand this guy.
Mr. Ficker, why do you feel so strongly about this?
Because I've met him many times, represented him in court, and there were no findings of guilt. Although it started out as though he were the guilty one, it turned out he wasn't.
Okay.
I think,
and describe to us.
You may be next. You may be next. Someone may find another person's DNA in your house, as I'm sure they could. We need to protect the least of these in order to protect all of these.
Sure, fair enough. I mean, you are a defense attorney. You do an important public service in this country. Will you represent him in this case?
It's possible, but I have not been contacted by the family or retained in the family to represent him in this particular case, although we've been successful in the past.
When you say that he was kind and gentle, can you give us some examples?
I met with him many times. I've observed hundreds of thousands of people in my life, completed 30,000 cases in court. When I'm sitting across from a person for hours at a time, I can tell that they're kind and gentle. He was not a mean, aggressive person at all. He was a young man finding his way, a student at Prince George's Community College. He tried to get into the Marines. He was patriotic. He was well-meaning, and he remains that way as far as I know.
So how would you describe a criminal, whoever it is, who tortures a family, who tortures their 10-year-old son, who stays at the crime scene long enough to eat a pizza and then torches the house? How would you describe that criminal, whoever it is?
I would describe that as a heinous crime, and that person should be prosecuted, but it's not Daryl Wint. He's not the one in the video. There are no facial features of Darren Wint in that video. They've got the wrong guy. They've made a big mistake here.
How can you tell it's not him in the video, the surveillance video that we see? Someone's back, as we see right here, running with a white bag. How can you tell that's not Daryl Wint?
The police are saying it is. How can they possibly say that that is Darren Wint based on that video? Does he look like Darren Wint to you? Be honest about it. You can't tell who that is. There's no facial features there.
It's hard to tell. I mean, to be honest, it's hard to tell from, as you point out, from that video, but it's also hard for you to tell that it's not him. Let me ask you this, Mr. Ficker. Why did he lead police on a 48-hour manhunt? Why, if he is innocent, why not just go surrender and say, you got the wrong guy, here's my alibi, and not have them chase him from New York to D.C. and back?
We're not saying that he actually knew that they were behind him, chasing him. We have freedom of travel in this country. Just because someone leaves a city where some crime was committed doesn't mean that he committed that crime.
Yeah.
This is not a case where someone runs from a policeman that's right behind him.
His girlfriend reportedly told police that he was aware that they were looking for him, and she said that he was going to turn himself in, but that's not what happened.
Well, have you interviewed the girlfriend and heard her actually say that? Some of these police statements about what other people say are hearsay and need to be taken with a very large grain of salt.